it hits me differently, then I'm like, that's my spirit guide talking to me. I'll then feel the flow coming through of the messages. Then I'm like, oh, this is not my tone of to override this, I like to call, is if something has hit your field and you think of something really quick. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Hello if you are new. My name is Andrea Johnson, or Reiki Master Teacher, Energy Worker, and Spiritual Lifestyle Content Maker. Welcome to another episode of what I like to call Conscious Coffee Talks, where I sit down and have a beautiful conversation with you souls about a topic to expand our consciousness. So, with that being said, I've got my coffee and let's dive in, shall we? So in today's episode, I'm kind of making it a series, it feels like. So it's gonna piggyback off of the video that I just uploaded. If you're watching this and you haven't seen that one before, I will link it down below. But this one is how to communicate with your spirit guides. So the video that I made before was how to meet your spirit guides if you've never met them. This one goes more into how to communicate with them, the different methods in which you can be a channel for them in this reality. So like I stated in my other video, before we get started, there's one thing that you need to understand. Before you start to do this, before you start to communicate with your spirit guides, I want you to be in a state of love and gratitude and wonder, and just be open. Just be open. And this is what really blocks a lot of people, is the lack of faith or the lack of open-mindedness. So you really have to go into this with no expectations at all and just really trust what comes to you. So be in a state of love and gratitude, being open, be in a wondrous state, and just trust the messages. So to lay some foundation, how does this exactly work? Well, if you've seen my videos, you know that everything in our universe is energy, right? So I'm going to tie a little bit of quantum physics in here before we dive into it. The reason why this can happen, why you can serve as a channel to spirit guides who are in other dimensions or, universes away, is because of a theory we like to call quantum entanglement. And this theory explains basically that two atoms, I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'm not a physicist here, but basically communication can happen between two atoms or particles that are universes away. So basically it's kind of like the theory of, when you're thinking of somebody and then you turn around and they call you. It's kind of the same thing. So when you're setting the intention to communicate with this spirit guide, or, if you want to say interdimensional beings or aliens or whatever, you're basically sending out a message to the universe, and they're going to pick it up on the other side because they are higher vibrational. They are more aware of what the energy in the universe actually is. As far as here, we have to really strengthen our abilities and our belief system. That's how we bring their energy in to channel it here in the physical. One of my favorite ways to communicate with spirit guides is my clairsentience. Now, what I mean by this is the feeling, and I'm really strong in this ability just because it's my, part of my Reiki practice. When I step into somebody's energy field, I actually feel a shift in my own. So I'm very in tune with my body, and this is where I will bring my awareness to my body whenever I basically set the intention to start working with my spirit guide. I will see how I feel. I see how my body shifts, and honestly, it's almost like this huge wave of vibration or like tingles just comes over me. So I automatically know like a shift has happened, and then I really start paying attention to what emotions are going through my body. How am I feeling? Am I feeling really happy? Am I feeling goofy? Am I feeling really serious? I start to actually pay attention to the thoughts going through my head. So this is what I mean by the feelings of when you call forth a spirit guide and they step into your field. It's going to shift the way that you are, because think of this body like a conduit. It's really just a conduit harnessing energy, and you setting the intention just invited the spirit guide to step into your field. So then you receive more of their vibration to basically add to your energy to help you with whatever you need in the moment, right? So I will start to feel different. I will start to get different emotions. My hands will probably start tingling. I actually get heated body sensations. So these are all signs to me specifically that communication is starting to come through from my spirit guides, and then I start tuning in really close. Like I bring my conscious awareness to my physical body and mainly to my heart center, because then I really start to actually remember who I truly am, and then I get very, very clear guidance and messages coming through. And that's what brings me to my next step, is the inner knowing. That is a communication method, and this is where people struggle with because they don't trust their inner knowing. What I can explain what an inner knowing is that it's an unshakable faith, pretty much. You can probably call it your intuition if you would like. Some people get a gut feeling where they actually literally feel very confident in their gut about something. It almost feels like there's another consciousness, that it's really not coming from you, but at the same time, it is you. But I like to actually think of it as it is this like voice in my chest, because that's honestly how I experience it. It almost feels like there's this consciousness right here in the center of my chest, and just when I know something, there's no shaking my faith. There's no arguing with me. There's no nothing. And so I know it to be true, and that will be what my reality is based around, because it is a unbreakable faith. That is what a knowing is, and you can't really explain how you know it. You just do. So it makes it a lot easier to take action on certain things or gaining clarity on certain aspects in your life. So this is probably my most favorite way to get messages, because when you know something, there's no going back on it. But it is very difficult if you're not in the right state of being, pretty much. A lot of people second guess it because of this, and it's to override this, I like to call, is if something has hit your field and you think of something really quick, it's usually your first thought that is the knowing, or it's the first idea that comes to you. And then when you start second guessing it, that is the mind coming in and playing tricks. So trust the messages that are given to you from your guides as knowings, inner knowings, and don't second guess it. Don't put all the pressure on yourself. That is what the guide is there to help you and give you these messages, gift you these messages, because they're not coming from you. So my next favorite way to do communication between spirit guides is signs and symbolism. And you can probably think of this as, universe, give me a sign, and then you sit around and you wait for it, right? And you can essentially do the same thing with spirit guides. Is for each spirit guide that you have, you can set a certain sign or symbol for you to see maybe in your daily life, so then they can grab your attention to maybe try to bring something to your conscious awareness that, hey, like there may be something that you need to pay attention to, something you're thinking right now, or something in your external environment is really, really important based upon what your goals are or what guidance you are requesting that spirit guide give you. This is where you can set certain signs and symbols. So I pick some of the most craziest things because I know if I see something that is crazy or just not random in my reality, then I need to pay attention, right? So I've picked some of the most oddest animals that I would not find normally in my reality. Like, I'm not going to pick a squirrel per se, you know, or a bird. I'm going to actually make it an obscene, basically, symbol. So then when I see it, it's like, hey, I need to tune in and I need to check in with my guides to see what's going on. So that's a good way that they can communicate with you just in like your everyday life, especially if your conscious awareness or your mind is active. So I will actually get, you know, signs and symbols when I am at my job, or I am like out in public, or, you know, with friends or something like that, and it will grab my attention to where I'm not necessarily thinking about communicating with a guide, but I then know that's my sign that, hey, my guide just stepped in and I need to bring in my conscious awareness and tune in to what's going on. So this next one, it might be just specific to me, but the way that they communicate, or some of my guides communicate with me, is I actually start to see the energy very, very well in a room. And this is me like raising my vibration, or I will actually start to see like there's sparklies. The best way that I can describe it is there's these little sparkles and almost like black specks or flashes of light, really. And when this happens, it's usually like I'm in heightened states of like joy and bliss, or just like conscious awareness. And sometimes I set the intention to get there just with like certain breathing techniques that I use. But other times it's also just like I'm experiencing something in my life that's bringing me a lot of joy and happiness and bliss, and my guides are like, yay, you're on the right track, you know, keep going. So that's kind of like where the signs of sparklies and, you know, seeing the energy and stuff really means something different to me than what it could to somebody else. But when I see these things in my external world, I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is correct. I am on the right path. This is reassurance for me. Like, let's go. So if you're somebody who can see the energy very well, this may be a certain sign for you, or something to maybe ask to see with your guides to show you this. So this next one is probably one of the easiest that I feel like, or it just could be me because I love writing, but it's called automatic writing. And this is a great way, there's Cardinal. This is a great way to actually get the mind out of the way, and it really feels just natural and flowy. So you set the intention, or you ask the question that you need guidance on, and then you just actually start writing. And it almost becomes a very weird, I don't want to say weird, but it's an experience, we'll just say that, because you'll feel yourself almost like separating out from your conscious mind, but you're still writing, and you're still like making sense of the words, of you're writing complete messages. So it's actually a very beautiful way for messages to come through, and it feels very natural. At least for me it does. So I really feel like this could help a lot of people in their communication. And if you second guess it, or if you're kind of questioning yourself, just start writing and then just see how it goes. Because I know for me, I actually just have to start writing, and then maybe halfway through, I'll then feel the flow coming through of the messages. Then I'm like, oh, this is not my tone of writing. This is something else coming through. So you might find that your language changes, and the which way that, you know, you're writing, your style might change, your handwriting might change. So it's pretty neat to see the shift in like the energy, and without really you trying or your conscious awareness, it's just happening. And one of the last ways that I've seen my guides come through is through other people, and even animals, but mostly other people. And they won't realize it, because of course they don't know that, you know, what my guide is for me. But I will actually get messages from other people, and I'll be like, oh, that's my guide channeling through that person. You know, they're not going to know it, but I can feel it. And which way and how I know that this is happening is because one, the person will come up and they'll actually start talking about a subject in the same, you know, it could be the same subject that I asked my spirit guide for guidance on, and I'm like, okay, that's them channeling. Or it could be something that I have been having issues with in my life, and they're just stopping in to say, hey, like, we're here, we care about you. And I can just feel it in the way that somebody's tone of voice is, or that they're speaking, or they have said something to me that is like, it hits me differently, that I'm like, that's my spirit guide talking to me through this other person. Basically because of just conversations that I've had with them before. So it's really kind of neat to see that happen, because honestly, we all are channels for each other and each other's greatest good and healing in the moment. So it's really, you know, neat to see those things take place. So those are 7 ways in which I use to communicate with my spirit guides. So, and like I said before, guys, if I didn't state something that you guys have used to communicate with your spirit guides, then it's not wrong. And maybe, you know, the reason that I made this video was to give you guys a good idea of what communication can look like between you and spirit guides, because I really do feel like a lot of people question their abilities on this. And so it really kind of blocks the messages, and that's where the faith comes in. And what I said, you know, before even starting the video is you have to have faith in the messages that you receive. Cats. You have to have faith in the messages that you receive. The mind will try to play tricks on you, but always make sure that when you communicate with your spirit guides that you ask for the highest, most benevolent beings to come through for your greatest good and to give you messages to help you shift your reality to that of light and love and joy and bliss. So then that's what you know, the messages you receive, that's the reality that you'll create around them. So remember to do that and ask for guidance, because we need to ask to receive. And understand that your guides are always with you, or even if you aren't consciously aware of it, even if you haven't established, you know, set guides just yet, just understand that each and every person has a spirit guide, guides, angels, whatever you're called to mostly work with. Everybody has a set of them, and they're honestly just there waiting for you to work with them. So they won't step in unless you ask for it, and you absolutely have got to have faith in it. I promise you guys, you just have to have faith in it. And the more that you work with these beings or angels or spirit guides, the stronger the communication method is going to be, and the more that you will actually become like them in this reality. It's kind of cool, huh? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this gave you some inspiration, some ideas, maybe solidified some things that you guys are experiencing. You're like, oh yeah, I am communicating with my guides. Like, I totally get it. It makes perfect sense of how this works now, right? So anyways, but like I said, if you haven't seen my previous video on actually how to meet your guides, if you're brand spanking new to this, go watch that video. I give 7 steps on how to do it. So hopefully this kicks you guys off with working with some kick-ass spirit guides. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sending you all of my light and all of my love. We'll see ya.